We will. The consonant sound W has been repeated twice over there. The first two lines talk about how we as humans lead to the destruction of nature. Now this can help. What can help? Keeping still, keeping calm can help us stop us from destroying nature and thereby destroying ourselves. That's what it can help in. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, hi there. I did not see you coming at all. Hello and welcome to your class of Prep School English. I am your English teacher, Kshama. Now, were you wondering what I was doing? I was counting till 12. That's what the poet asked me to do. And when Pablo Neruda asks you to do something, you better be doing it. Today, we're going to deal with the third poem of your textbook, Flamingo, named as Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. In this session, we are going to talk about the poet, the summary, line-by-line analysis of the poem, what is the hidden message inside the poem, what is the theme of the poem, what is it talking about, the poetic devices that are used in the poem. Okay? Are you all excited to see who is asked to keep quiet? Have you been asked to keep quiet by the poet? Or is it the poet who wants to keep quiet for a while? What is it about? Let's find out. Now, before I begin, I have a couple of questions for you all. Have you ever tried taking break from a hectic schedule, like you have had a complete academic year filled with assignments, homeworks, classworks, whatnot? And once in a while, is taking break a good way to, retrospect and introspect about the things that have happened? Does it give you time and space to think clearly and take wise decisions? Does that happen when you take a break very often after hectic schedules? Is one question. And are you somebody who gives time and space for other people to think whenever the other person needs time and needs space? Are you the kind who gives them the time that they require? Now, today we have been asked to not to do anything, okay? And just stay quiet and forget about everything, the rest of the world, and stay quiet. Why so? We are going to talk about it as we move forward. Now, the poet for today is one of my favorite poets as well. One poem that I would definitely recommend from Pablo Neruda is Tonight I Can Write the Saddest Lines. And he is a Chilean poet. He's a diplomat, politician as well. And in the year 1971, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. Okay, and he's also known as the national poet of Chile. He's most often known as the national poet of Chile. He's known as the poet from when he was 13 years old, and he wrote in variety of styles as well. So he's a Chilean poet. He's a politician, diplomat. He has won notably the Nobel Prize in Literature in the year 1971. Okay, and he wrote in variety of styles. He took to poeting right when he was 13 years old, and he's often considered as the national poet of Chile. Okay, this is what we know about Pablo Neruda. Let's see what sort of poem Pablo Neruda has written for us. How is it that we are going to understand it? What are the poetic devices in it? Without wasting much time, further ado, let's jump right in. Now we will count to 12. And we will all keep still. Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. For once on the face of earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's stop for a second and not move our arms so much. It would be an exotic movement without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. This is a poetry written in free verse without any particular rhyme schemes in place. Okay, let's try and understand it. Now we will all count to 12. Let us all count 12. Now here, 12 could be referring to the 12 months in a year. The poet might be requesting us to keep quiet for 12 hours. It could be 12 hours in the clock, okay, or 12 months in a year. It could be as long as 12 hours or as long as a year. He wants us to not do anything and keep quiet. Why so? Let's understand. And we will all keep still. Imagine, I'm sure you have all wondered, no, what if the entire world is playing statue game? Okay. Have you ever wondered what you would do if you can move around when all the rest of the world is in the statue game? right? Something that like that we have experienced in a much more grave sense when we experienced pandemic, of course, where we had to go through quarantine and we had to be inside our houses. That, I don't know how Pablo Neruda managed to write it. He had foreseen these things that it would happen, but he had asked us to keep quiet long ago. Now, what does he mean when he says keep quiet, and what does it have to do with the pandemic situation that I spoke about? Let me not spoil it to you entirely, and I'll take you line by line. For once on the face of earth, let's not speak in any language. Let's not create this language barrier. I belong to this language, you belong to that language. I speak in this language, you speak in that language. Let's not do this me, you, me, okay? Let's not create these barriers. Let's stop for a second. That's what he wants us to stop about. Don't do anything. Don't create language barriers. Let's stand united together. How? Let's not move our arms too much to reach out to things, to do things. Okay? It would be an exotic moment. Will it not be an exotic moment if the entire world comes together? If the entire world becomes one in brotherhood, if they all stand in unity, how beautiful, how surreal and exotic movement that would be. Let's not speak in any language, referring to the language barrier. Stop for a second. Keep still. Don't do anything. Okay, don't move your arms too much, trying to reach out things, getting into the rush of life as though you're dying tomorrow. Don't do anything. Let's create that exotic moment of unity, okay? Without rush, without engines. Now you see the repetition of without over here, without rush, without engines. And over here, if you can see, we will. Here, the consonant sound W, has been repeated multiple times, which is an example for alliteration. Wonderful. Now, in this line over here, now we will count to 12. The vowel sounds O and E. Vowel sounds O and E have been pronounced it is very evident. Now, we will count. O is repeated and till 12. We, E, 12. E and O sounds have been repeated. That is an example for the poetic device assonance. Okay, we will see more of it later on as we move, and not move our arms so much. Now, there's another example. We found it here itself. O, no, move. Again, O sound. Our arms. O sound has been repeated multiple times over here. That is an example for the poetic device assonance. I know we speak of poetic devices as though it is just one definition and just an effect. But to put that in one whole sentence, to create that effect, one must have such good literary knowledge, such good vocabulary and linguistic intelligence, is it not? So when Shakespeare says in his work Tempest, full fathom 5 thy father lies, the alliteration of usage of the sound F continuously in that line, it is put so beautifully. It's such a wonderful effect. It requires a lot of knowledge and a lot of skill, is it not? Now, that's one example of assonance over there. It would be an exotic movement without engines, without rush. That's what the poet is asking us to do. We would all be together. It is the moment of unity that the poet wants to create. It would be sudden, strange, once to not do anything, to not do any action, go anywhere without rush, without engines, without mobile phones, of course. Everything might seem a little sudden and strange in the beginning, but it is all worth it, and let's do it. It is call of the poet to keep quiet, to bring back everything together to unity. Okay? Now over here, 12 months could be 12 hours as well. Then he's asking us to calm down, to create an exotic, rare moment of unity. It will be very unique if we do it that way. Then there is assonance created over there. Where is the example? Not move our arms so much. Even when I pronounce it, you see the prominent sound of the vowel O. And then over in the first line, now we will count to 12. Prominent sound of the vowels O and E. That is assonance. And alliteration, where did we find alliteration over here? We will. The consonant sound W has been repeated twice over there. Without, the words without has also been repeated twice. That is an example for repetition. The entire words have been repeated. That's also an example for repetition. We will, without, without. Moving forward to the next stanza of the poem. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, and the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and walk about with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life is what it is about. What is the poet trying to say over here? Fishermen, whales, what is happening? Fishermen in the cold sea. What is the, let's read the whole stanza. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales, okay. And the man gathering salt would not look at his hurt hands. So the first two lines talk about how we as humans lead to the destruction of nature, how we exploit nature. Fishermen in the sea, when they catch fish, it could be for selling purpose, it could be for the eating purpose. You are taking a part of the nature and exploiting it, right? But when you stop doing so, when fishermen in the sea, cold sea, if they would not harm the whales, what would happen? What would it lead to? When you don't harm others, what will not happen? You will not be harmed in return. Similarly, the man who is gathering salt, who is trying to take the resources of the nature, if for once, if you stop exploiting the nature's resources such as the whales and the salt, you would not have to look at your hurt hands. What does it mean? When you don't destroy, when you don't exploit the resources of the nature such as the whales and the salts, you will not look at your hands that are hurt. It will be fine. Don't destroy the nature, you will be safe as well. You will not be destroyed as well. That's the whole point over there, right? Fishermen, if you don't disturb the whales or, go on being greedy and collecting all the salts, you will not look at your hands hurt. It will be fine. Then, those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors. Again, classic. War is not a solution. War will not help microparticles that are constituents that are part of the war. It will not help any individuals that are using gas, that are using fire as a mode of, protecting themselves or attacking the enemy. If you use all these things, at the end, whoever wins, that's not really a victory with no survivors. Nobody will be left to celebrate that victory. Victories with no survivors. Again, a beautiful example for assonance, where prominent sound of the vowel O is sound. Victories with no survivors. What is the point of war when there is no one to celebrate? If it does any good deed, then definitely war can be celebrated. The victory can be celebrated. But if there is no one left, if as a result of using fire, gas and green wars, cutting all deforestation, it means if you end up cutting all the plants and destroying all the natural resources using fire and gas, what is the point of you surviving at the end? What is the result of war? Is there anything good coming out of the war? No. Then just stop it. Why are you doing it? That's what the poet is talking about here. That's what the poet's argument over here is. Let's just put on clean clothes, come out of the war context, put on clean clothes, which clean clothes meaning leave all the negativity behind, leave all the hatred and, all the frustration, anger, everything behind. Put on some clean clothes, have a clean, pure heart, and do what? And walk about with their brothers. Let us, again, he's coming back to the idea of establishing unity and brotherhood. He wants the barrier of language to be shattered. He wants the, rush of life, moving somewhere, achieving something, going and getting something, the rush of engines, vehicles, be it physically, being metaphorically to reach somewhere. Let's all stop that rush, come together with pure hearts. Let's walk together, build unity and brotherhood first. That should be our foundation. So imagine during the pandemic, if people over there didn't have good heart to provide you with all the transportation facility and help you reach the hospital, and were talking about and were busy thinking about, oh, this man does not belong to my language, he doesn't belong to my language, or he's from a different place, most of us wouldn't have survived. It is because on the humanity grounds, people wanted to help each other. Most of us survived. Most of us were able to come out of the quarantine and pandemic and the virus. Is it not? The call has been, done long ago by Pablo Neruda when he said, let's stop. Let's be humans first. Let's build the bond of human beings, which is the foundation of our being. Then go on to do anything. When the root of foundation is strong, you can do anything. You can fly high. But if it is not, it would lead to wars. It would lead to, you getting hurt, you getting damaged. That is what it is going to lead otherwise. And then let's do nothing. Let's, create brotherhood and do nothing. By nothing, what does the poet mean? Okay. What I want should not be confused with total inactivity. Life should be what it should be. I mean, you should still eat. He's not saying don't eat, don't breathe, keep still, be like statues. Don't eat, don't breathe, don't walk around. He's not saying that. Life should be what it is supposed to be. It should be what it is about. You should go around, you should enjoy, but not in a hurry, not with a lot of negativity, with pure mind. It is not total inactivity, completely not doing anything. That's not what he's talking about. Enjoy life, be in the moment, okay? Do not rush and do not have any negativity. Believe in unity, and that is the strong foundation. Now this can help. What can help? Keeping still, keeping calm can help us, stop us from destroying nature and thereby destroying ourselves. That's what it can help in. Deforestation, we are talking about the green wars with gas, fire, that would eventually lead to our own destruction. There will be nobody to, the victories are pointless. Nobody will be there to celebrate it, even though you have won wars. Later on, what is required? We have to put on clean shirts. What is the clean shirt? There should be peace and harmony. That's what we want. There should be universal brotherhood. Together, we should all come. And there is example of assonance that we saw over here. As you can see, victories with no survivors, prominent sound of the vowel O. Later on, what else did we have? Alliteration. We had alliterations and repetition. Where were the alliterations and repetition? Alliteration over here. Wars with. This is also an example for alliteration and assonance at the same time. See, two poetic devices in the same line together, okay? Moving forward, I want no truck with death. I want no truck with death. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing, perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves and of threatening ourselves with death. What is happening here is that I want no truck with death. It is true that I don't want death. Why do I don't want death? When there is so much rush of life, what are you doing? In the fear of death, you might be wondering, what if I die today? What if I die tomorrow? What if I die in the next, couple of months or a couple of years? I have to do whatever that I've planned, whatever the milestones that I've planned for myself, I should do it. And no matter whatever the cost of it is, I don't care if I lose relationships. I don't care if I lose moments that I could have cherished. Keep all that aside and rush towards getting something. You don't even know what that something is. The poet says, come out of that rush. I don't want any truck with death. I don't want to threaten myself with the idea of me dying sometime in future. I don't want to do that. If we were not so single-minded, if we were not so like a horse, if we were not fixing ourselves with one point somewhere in the distance, it wouldn't have happened this way. The scene wouldn't have looked this way. How? About keeping our lives moving. We are very single-minded, narrow-minded about one thing. All that we want is, we want to be moving. Moving towards what? Why? We don't know. It's all pointless. It's all meaningless without you first understanding. And for once, we could do nothing and take a huge silence, meaning take a huge break. Why is that break important? To interrupt the sadness. This moving in a monotonous way, getting up every day, dressing up, getting a bus or a cab, moving to the office, working, coming back, It all becomes pointless when you don't know what you're doing, what is happening inside you. How are you feeling? How are the people around you feeling? Do you have to talk about something? Is there a place that you want to visit? Is there something that you would want to eat? Watch a film? There are so many things that are lost in the rush of you wanting to move, in the rush of you wanting to keep your life just the way everybody else's is. You are thinking that is normal. No, it is not. That's what the poet is saying. He wants to interrupt this meaningless sadness, monotonous way of life. Why? Because he wants you to understand yourself first. That is where it all starts. Understand yourself first. Connect with your people first. That is what is required. Stop threatening yourselves with death. Stop threatening or stop being fearful about the fact that someday you are going to die. That is inevitable, right? But why do you, threaten yourself with the idea of dying and want to do everything at once? Not doing and cherishing the moment is even more valuable. Do that and see how it changes every other thing that surrounds you. That's what the poet wants you to do. It's such a beautifully complexly knit, well knit poem. Okay. The poet refuses to deal with death until it arrives. Death, whenever it is time, you just arrive. I don't want to worry about your deal with you right now because I have moments to cherish. I have people to relish and be with. Okay. Don't be stick to one thing that you don't know what you're doing, yet you just want to be in the run for life. Know the meaning behind what you're doing, why you're doing. Make it a worthwhile. There is, of course, enjambment in the poem. Perhaps a huge silence. From there, you see there is no punctuation mark, nothing over there. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of understanding ourselves, of never understanding ourselves, and of threatening ourselves with death. Only over here, you see the full stop. No other punctuation mark has been used in between. That poetic device is called as enjambment that has been used over here in this particular stanza. Moving over here, perhaps on the face of earth, perhaps the earth can teach us. The final part of the poem says, perhaps the earth can teach us, as when everything seems dead and yet proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. Okay? Perhaps the earth can teach us. We can actually learn from the nature and earth. What do we learn? The major lesson that we learn from the earth is that although everything in nature feels lifeless, trees don't talk, the air doesn't talk, okay? Trees are not moving around. Earth feels so lifeless without the movement, right? Without the talking and moving and communicating part, it feels so lifeless, yet you actually know that it is alive. It proves itself to be alive. Tree grows, wind blows and touches us. It does have life in it, but it is not moving or rushing and making it evident that it has to be alive, that it has to do something. And it is not just, screaming around wanting to be alive and not dead. Earth is not worrying about being dead, or earth or any constituent particle of nature for that matter is not worrying about how do I make my existence worthwhile? What do I do about it? It is not rushing. So you stop rushing. You be yourself, understand yourself, spend time with your people, make your time worth it because it matters to you. No matter what other person is doing, don't care about it. Don't build in anger, frustration, hatred towards other person. You don't have time to do all that negative things. Keep yourselves clean, your hearts clean. Now what will I do after saying all that and after telling you the lesson that earth has in store for you? I will count up to 12. I will start counting now. Okay, what should you do? You should keep still, you should keep quiet, and I will go. Okay, I'll not go now. What did we learn over here? Although nature seems lifeless, it does have life. It gives life to us. Sometimes you can take an example of change of seasons for that matter. When the fall season comes, everything falls off and it seems so lifeless. Yet in the summer season and spring season, it blossoms out. All the leaves, flowers, everything blossoms out and proves itself to be alive. So you will also get a moment when you bloom in life. Wait until that moment. Keep still, keep calm. Don't, give rise to envy, hatred that somebody else is doing something in life. I am not being able to do it. Somebody else is getting good grades. Somebody else is getting good remarks from teachers. I am not getting. My friend, stay calm. Keep quiet, as Pablo Neruda says. Your time will come as well. But until then, whatever that you're doing, do it with a full, pure heart and never have a moment that you have to regret about. Be happy, be calm, enjoy every movement. Your moment to blossom is on its way. Okay? Then the poet not just preach it, he does not just preach it, he also goes away like I do. I give time for you to relish and enjoy this poem. Similarly, he also goes away and gives the space. I will go, and he asks you to enjoy this poem. Now, what did we see in this particular wonderful poem that we had? It talked about, it urged us to keep still and not do anything. By meaning not to do anything, it had a lot of meanings. It had a meaning of staying away from negativity, staying away from the rush of life and enjoying ourselves. Then create no language barrier on the face of earth. Let's create a moment of unity and brotherhood. It will be exotic, it will be surreal if we do so. And silence, meaning not destroying anything, will lead to protecting ourselves in return. If you don't do deforestation, there'll be plenty of trees and plenty of oxygen, which is in turn helpful for us, right? And of course, wars are of no use. Brotherhood is definitely. Do not rush in the fear of meeting death, as we talked about throughout this session. And a moment of introspection and retrospection about what am I doing? What was I doing till now? It will help you to have better days ahead, correct? So stay calm, appreciate life as you are living through it before it's too late, before you regret things. Appreciate life, live it to the fullest, so that when you're 60 or 70-year-old, you can tell your grandchildren that I did these many things and I had so much fun. And on that note, I'll see you all in the next class. I'm sure you also have a lot of such ideas about how you can keep still and what are the things that would happen when you keep still and how it has helped you when keeping still or not doing anything. By anything, I mean concentrating about yourselves and concentrating about the people around you. How has it helped you? You will, I'm sure, have a lot of things to say about it. So write your own poem, appreciate this poem as well. Go back and see all the poetic devices, the imagery, and what the poet was talking about. And I'll see you all in the next class. Have fun. Have a great time. Thank you.